I love to see my images looking good on screen, but having something physical that you can, hold in your hands or hang on the wall, that's even better. But I don't do my own printing. I've made the decision to outsource my printing, and that has some definite advantages for me and also some disadvantages. And I thought I'd explore those pros and cons in this video. I hope you'll enjoy it. If you do and you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me for another of my one Wednesday a month extra videos when I cover topics that don't really fit into my normal weekly out in the field photography videos. And today the topic is to print or not to print. That is the question, or perhaps more accurately, to print yourself or to get the printing done by somebody else. And as I've already said, I get my printing done by somebody else because for me at the moment I think that's the best option, but it does have some disadvantages. So I thought I'd start off by exploring the reasons why I choose to have my printing done by somebody else. So probably the first reason that I choose not to print for myself is a matter of space. Because if I'm going to do my own printing, I'm probably going to want the ability to print fairly large, at least A3, probably bigger. And that's going to mean a pretty large printer, which is going to take up quite a bit of space. And then add on the fact that I've got to store some, photographic paper, which is also going to take up space. I'm just not sure that that utilization of the room that I've got is a good idea, particularly when I don't know how often I'm going to want to print. And that kind of brings me on to the second reason why I choose not to do my own printing. And that's actually kind of one of economy, or economies of scale maybe. Because I've only got so much that I can do with the prints that I produce. I've only got so much wall space. And of course, if I'm going to do prints and I'm going to want to put them on the wall, I'm going to need to do some kind of mounting or framing or whatever else I might need to do, which all kind of adds to the complexity. And I just don't know how much printing I would actually do, even if I had a really good printer to do that printing on, because what am I going to do with it? I mean, I could, I guess, do printing to sell. But I already do that, but I do it through a third party. And that kind of brings me on to the third reason. You see, I have offered my prints for sale for a long time, but I don't print them myself. And the reason for that is it's actually going to be a lot of hassle. It's not the printing. I've got to package them. I've got to arrange for them to be shipped. If it's going outside of the EU, I have to consider customs and taxation implications, because trust me, there's nothing worse than waiting for some nice delivery to come through and then finding out that it's blocked in customs, or that you've got to pay an extra fee to get the goods that you've already paid for. So I don't want to be in the situation where somebody buying a print from me has that particular problem, and I'm not sure how well I could manage that without a lot of hassle. So I use a print-on-demand service. I actually use a company called Redbubble that I've used for years, and in fact most of the prints on the wall at the moment are from Redbubble. Not all of them, because I did try out another print company, or a couple of print companies, a while ago, but I've gone back to Redbubble, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. But basically, by using that print-on-demand company, they handle the payments, they print it, they package it, they ship it, they handle all the customs stuff, everything, and I just get a commission on the sale. Not as much money as I would get if I was doing the printing myself and shipping it out, but a lot less hassle. And if I am going to be putting my images up for sale through a print on demand site, it kind of feels wrong to me to not be using that for my own prints, because if it's good enough for me to ask people to buy my prints, it should be good enough for me to buy my own prints to put on the wall. So that's what I do. The next reason that I don't do my own prints all comes down to flexibility of size and media. I already talked about the fact that if I was going to do my own printing, I'd want a fairly large printer, at least A3 plus. But even if I bought an A2 printer, that still puts a limit on the size that I can print, and it certainly puts a limit on the types and styles and options of media that my prints can be produced on. Whereas by putting that print service out to a company that has the ability to do different things, I can get prints that are larger and different styles and different medias than I could get if I was printing in-house. And I've actually just recently got 2 prints done by Redbubble of a couple of my images, and it's kind of that's prompted me to do this video. So I've just had a couple of prints done. This is one of them. This is an image that I shot last year. It was probably one of my favourite images from last year. And you can see it's a reasonably sized print. You could probably just about print this on an A2 printer in terms of size if you could print pretty much borderless. You wouldn't have much room for a border to get a print of this size. I'll put the size of this print up in a comparison to what A2 actually is so that you can see it. But it's not just the size of this that makes the difference. And by the way, I could have had bigger versions of this done. What makes the big difference on this is what it's printed on, because it's actually printed on aluminium, directly onto the aluminium. So you don't have to mount this, you don't have to frame this. It comes with mounting stuff on the back, and you can just hang it on the wall. And I have to say, it looks absolutely brilliant. I love it. And I am definitely thinking that in the future, I want to have more of my prints done in this metal print. Not only for the convenience of being able to hang them, but because I think they look absolutely lovely. And looking at this, even looking at this close up, which you wouldn't normally do, I can look at it from this distance, and the detail is absolutely perfect on this. It looks really, really nice. I have tried to shoot a bit of video showing what the detail's like, but I don't think the video is going to really do it justice. And this is the other one that I've had done. And again, this was one of the images I shot earlier this year. And it's printed on aluminium. It's got the same mounting options on the back, so it's really, really easy. And it looks absolutely fantastic. And there is no way I could print something like this at home. I just wouldn't have the ability to print on aluminium from any sort of printer that I could buy to go in the home. And if this is kind of the direction I want to go in with my prints, what's the point in buying a printer that can't do them? Oh, and again, the detail on this is once again superb. You can get right in close and all the fine detail, textures, everything is there. And again, I'll try and show you on video, but I suspect the video won't do justice to it. It's not only metal prints that I can get through this service. I could have prints that are done on canvas. I can have them pre-framed. I can have posters done. I can have cards done. I can have it printed on other merchandise. I don't generally do that. Most of my images are only available on prints and cards. Well, a lot of my older stuff is available on things like mugs and t-shirts and all sorts of other things if I want to do that. All stuff that I couldn't do if I was doing printing at home. But the main thing for me is these metal prints that I think are just absolutely gorgeous. And I can see over a period of time I am going to be replacing a lot of the prints that I've got on the wall here, which, to be honest, are in pretty cheap frames, with these nice metal prints. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons why I am still reluctant to spend the money on buying a printer at home. Okay, let's be honest, there are some disadvantages to having the printing done by somebody else. And for me, there's actually two disadvantages, although one of them is kind of not necessarily a disadvantage. The first disadvantage is that I'm not in control of the printing. Now, if I had a printer and I was doing the printing, I could do a proof, I could make sure that everything looked the way I wanted it to look before I do the main print. And even if I then did the main print and it didn't come out the way I wanted, I could do it again for, relatively low cost compared to buying a print and not being happy with it. Of course, the problem is with the solution I've got, where I use Redbubble, I order the print online, it gets delivered, I don't see it until it arrives as a finished product. So I don't have that control to make sure that everything is exactly the way I want it. And I'm a bit of a control freak. I tend to use my camera in manual mode because I'm a bit of a control freak and I don't want the camera doing things for me. So that is a downside. The only kind of way I get around that is because I have bought a number of prints of various different types through Redbubble before, I kind of know what their quality is like, and they always seem to do a good job of interpreting or reflecting in the finished product the way I have the image, on the screen here. So I use a calibrated monitor, and the images that I send to Redbubble for print purposes are, the highest quality I can send them. But they do all seem to come through, the brightness of the image is good. It matches what I expect. The colours match what I expect. The contrasts match what I expect. And the level of detail I've already mentioned, is always good. But as I say, you're not actually in control of it, and that is a bit of a downside for me. The other one that's a bit of a downside is because I'm making a decision to spend, more money than you would do for an ordinary print. I don't print as often as I would like, but then there is a plus side to that as well. I already mentioned the fact that there's only so much I can do with prints. But the other plus side is it makes me think twice about the images that are really the best ones for me to consider having printed. So it's a little bit of, a bit of a seesaw on that one. On the one hand, I'd like the ability to just print more just to see what it looks like. On the other hand, this one really makes me consider my images and decide which are the ones that are really worthwhile. If you're interested in finding out more about things like these metal prints, go to my website. There's a link to that in the video description, and click on the prints and it will take you through to my Redbubble store, and you can see what's available in there in terms of metal prints and other stuff. If you feel like buying one of mine, that's fantastic. But actually, I'm kind of sharing this with you because you might want to consider having some of your own work done this way, and that's just an easy way to find it. Or you can just go to redbubble.com and have a browse around, whichever way you want to do it. I will say this video is not sponsored or anything like that by Redbubble. I'm not getting anything from Redbubble, and that's it. Something a little bit different for this Wednesday. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, the routine. Likes, shares, comments, all very much appreciated. If you've enjoyed this video and you're new here and you want to see what else I get up to and how some of these pictures get taken, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you go. And as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, so thank you very much. And until the next video, bye.